some of us will give some reflection just before the practice. And this evening I'd like to reflect on something related to our meditation practice, as well as the Buddhist festival that we're going to have on Sunday, that is Katina. The heart of the Buddhist practice is about living our experience here, living our experience, learning how to cope with pain is about using the practice here and now. The concern is here. Our practice has nothing to do with the present moment. Then whatever we do, if we have to wait until maybe next life, that would be a waste of time, a waste of the time that we have here. That is why the Buddhist approach, the main Buddhist approach, is by examining the quality of our feeling, the quality of our emotion here and now. The way we experience, the way we examine is to look at where our experiences arise. As we all know in Buddhist psychology, we look at the mind, we look at the mind in the 6 bases. That is in the eye experience, when we see something. Because that's when we get angry, that's when we develop fear, when we get anxiety, by looking around, by looking at people that we come across every day and we compare ourselves with them. Sometimes we feel we're not good enough, inadequate. We look at other people's car, we look at other people's house, look at how other people dress up. So these are all from seeing, from visual object. Sometimes we also get excited from what we see. We get satisfaction from what we see. If we see someone smiling, someone relaxed, then we are at peace. So the quality of our mind is influenced by what we see, the experience of seeing, and so on. The second one is from hearing. When we hear somebody speaking politely, caring, expressing understanding and concern towards us, then from that experience of hearing, the mind is elated, the mind is over the moon. We have a pleasant experience. But when we see somebody speaks impolite, if we think, okay, by listening to the voice, if the person doesn't seem to care, to understand, if it's interested in what we want to say, then the way we react to that hearing experience is unpleasant. So it goes on. It goes on. The base of eye, that is from seeing, the base of ear, that is the experience of hearing, the base of nose, that is the experience of smelling, the base of tongue, that's the experience of taste, the experience of eating. Every day we reject food, we look for some more exciting food. Actually, our tongue is, the capacity of our tongue is just so limited. It's just ever ready, to reject food, even the food that we like. If we have eaten once or twice this week, we think twice to have that again, because we have reached our limit. Our limit, the limit of capacity to enjoy it. So Buddhist meditation is to look at our experiences here and now through what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, and what we think. Our perception is also very important. We are not actually aware most of our perception when they are conceived. We conceive our perception almost with awareness, and we become aware of it only when it causes pain, or when it becomes something very delightful. So with that kind of increasing experience of emotion, that we become aware of our own perception. That is why before we become non-returner, that's anarchami, one way or another, we have some form of prejudice and discrimination dominating our perception, because we still have like and dislike. So all Buddhist meditation, many forms of them, is to help us to go through these experiences in the present moment, so that we don't habitually create pain, create suffering, so that we don't accumulate negative habits. Because when we say samsara, the cycle of pain, the repeated conditioning of pain, conditioning of negative emotion. That samsara is taking place here and now in the present moment. That is why mindfulness, being mindful of what we feel, being mindful of what we see, being mindful of what we hear is very important. And those experiences, of course, the Buddha summed them up, in 3 words, that those experiences are ever changing. None of them, last forever. None of them is static. It's like a stream of river, ever flowing and changing. So if we sit down and look at what our mind reacts to, just look at series of reaction, we see that things are changing all the time. Changing all the time. Or we can look at the sensation in the body. We can see that it's changing all the time. So change is one of the characteristics that the Buddha sums up by looking at our experiences. Doesn't matter our social status, our education status, our age, gender, political opinion. Everything changes. Everything changes. Then we can also look at our experience. We can find that the mind is hardly satisfied. So this one the Buddha talks about as suffering, the word suffering, or dukkha, something difficult to take, difficult to bear with. Restlessness, for example, when we feel restless, that restlessness repeats itself again and again. That we feel the need to look at our iPad, our iPhone, to look at different things, not because we have very important tasks to do, but simply because we feel restless. Simply we are attached to that. Simply we have developed a habit. So just by observing restlessness in meditation, when you sit, when you're not used to, and you start sitting long, 1 hour, a little bit more than 1 hour, you will find how restlessness comes in and starts dominating the mind. With restlessness influencing our thoughts and our feeling, we start rejecting everything that we do at the present moment. If we are eating, we want to stop eating. If we are walking, we want to stop walking. If we are meditating, we want to stop meditating. We just want distraction. One after another, distraction after distraction. The mind feels relief release, relief, rather relief, but it doesn't know what it's doing when it's lost in those distractions. So when we get bored, that boredom is very powerful. It's suffering. And what we do is that we just trying to find some distraction as a remedy for boredom. So the Buddhist meditation is that, okay, just look at this experience of boredom. Look at the experience of restlessness, the experience of anxiety, thinking about what we have to do, thinking about the deadline, thinking about the volume of work, all those things, thinking about the expectation that we have ourselves, that other people have on us. So when we have anxiety, in Buddhist meditation, of course, we just look at that anxiety closely, the quality of that anxiety. How the anxiety is pressurizing, how the anxiety is shaking the mind, putting the mind all over the places. So to experience that, meditation is not just about experiencing concentration, not just about experiencing calmness. Actually, it's about examining, it's about analyzing that kind of suffering, such as restlessness, agitation, frustration, boredom. It's about examining them, it's about feeling them properly, it's about feeling them mindfully. If we feel them mindfully, we learn so much. I like to quote one scientist who spent most of his time in Sri Lanka. He's no more now. The Chancellor of Moratua University. In one of his books, he said that, okay, a 10 minutes experience, a 10 minutes experience can be worth a universe if we examine, if we go through it mindfully. I don't think he was a Buddhist, okay, and he was not Sri Lankan either, but he spent most of his time there. So, looking at his statement from Buddhist meditation point of view, we can say if we experience pain mindfully for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, looking at how difficult that experience is, bearing on the mind. And if we talk about anxiety, how that quality of anxiety is having a bearing on our thinking process, on our emotion, how that anxiety is making us restless, So if we can observe our emotion mindfully like that, we learn so much about the mind, we learn so much about life, and we learn so much how other people also go through anxiety. So that proper experience of anxiety in this instant helps us to connect with many people. That connection is very important because without connection, we tend to isolate ourselves when we have a hard time, or even when we have a good time. And when we have a good time, we think we are the only one who can do this. And when we have a hard time, we think our pain is unique. No one else has ever experienced this, has ever had to go through this. So by isolating ourselves with pain, we feel even more insecure. We strengthen our fear because we are isolated. When we become isolated physically, it is very unsafe, it is frightening. So as a human being, we have this need, the need to belong to, the need to belong. According to the Buddha, the best way to find this belonging is to experience something and to use that experience to connect with other people. So when we can connect with that pain, and we no longer see our own pain or success as being unique animal, but rather as universal. And that's the third characteristic of what the Buddha sums up human experiences. Now, to link this to the festival that we are going to have on Sunday, there's a Katina. During the Buddha's time, usually there was only one piece of robe. There were not plenty of clothes for monks or for lay people. They had plenty trees, plenty nature, plenty ecological resources underground, above the ground, of course, those days. These days we have less of those resources, but we have more clothes, plenty of them. So if we go back to 2,600 years, when we didn't have many pieces of clothes, everybody would have to come together. I'm talking about the monks and the nuns. Everybody would have to come together to make, to sew, to dye this piece of robe, this one piece of robe. Of course, it's human nature that you don't find motivation to be part of this if you think you're not going to get anything out of this. So the Katina practice is actually a psychological practice, a sociological practice that brings the monk together make this one piece of rope. One piece of rope, and this rope belongs to the whole community. Then, at the end, the whole community decides to give it to the most needy one. Again, there can be a psychological problem for those who don't get it. That is why the Buddha says, one piece of rope, you can talk about one piece of rope, you can talk about 100 pieces of rope, pieces of clothing. The number is secondary. What is important is the quality of emotion called mudita. In Katina, we call this Katina Numodana, as rejoicing in the process of rope making and rope offering. Without that meditation, that is mudita meditation, the monastic community will not be able to live together, either for one piece of rope or for many pieces. So mudita is about reflecting on what we have, counting our blessings, seeing the positive things in our life. Okay, little bit of political comments. Is a hard time emotionally for the country as we go through Brexit. People either for or against. It's all right when we think about the issue, because it's a very important issue, and the whole country is deeply divided. But at the same time, we might do well, to keep ourselves at least 2 or 3 minutes. If we don't have much time, if we can do more, even better. If we can take 2 or 3 minutes, just reconnecting with the strength of this country, the good thing that we have, that will calm our mind, that will make it easier to see different viewpoints. This is what the Buddha tried when he ran the way he ran his community. He said regulation is never enough to change behavior. The amount of materials is never enough to make people happy. What is important is mudita, to connect with what we have, what we have done, what we are doing now for ourselves, for the community. If we look at what we have achieved, and then we have some confidence, that would be soothing, in times of distress and pressure. So mudita is important. So this evening, I invite you to join me in doing mudita. Doing mudita, first you think about what you have done and you're proud of in your life. Your study, your family, and things for the society, social contribution. You think about them. You rejoice in them. This is one way of connecting with the present experience. Mudita. One after another, we think about the good thing that we have in our life. If we can't do that, if we can't do this, we will always find many things missing in our life. Simply, we have not trained to see what is here in front of us. It may be odd to use this expression, but for people who have some practice of karuna and mudita, happiness is the elephant in the room. It's there. We just don't see. We just don't see. We feel it's not present. But we are all thinking about that. But here, with mudita practice, we can actually think about that, direct our mind and energy, thinking about the good thing that we have done and are proud of. In terms of the also Buddha Vihara, we are in our 16 and we have completed 16 and our 17th year of existence. And if you just look back 2 years ago, when we were trying to have a meditation center, a lot of anxiety for people who wanted to have. A lot of anxiety also for people who thought it might not be possible. But anyway, all of us, okay, we came together, virtually everyone, we came together, and we have a place, meditation center, in the forest of Dean, and we still have it here, our place in Oxford also. The need for refurbishment here in Oxford and also in the Park Farm, the forest of Dean. And everybody, we have come together and we have done some good work here and over there as well. Of course, a lot to do, but we have to rejoice in what we have done so far. But this is not enough. We have to think about other Buddhist center, Theravada, Thai, Sri Lankan, Burmese, English, Nepalese, Mahayana, Tibetan, Chinese, Japanese. We have to relate our experience to them, to their experience. They also go through a lot of anxiety in order to come together as a community and provide the service that they do. Of course, a bigger version at the international level is if you look at also university. For many hundreds of years, many people have put in effort, a lot of things into making it what it is today. A lot of mudita. I've been working very hard to accumulate and collect books for SSB, for Art University in Shan State. Such a hard work, such a hard task. We have accumulated maybe around 2,000 titles, no, 20,000 titles. So if you compare with 13 million plus titles at Oxford University, you will see how much is there for us to rejoice. But we can ignore that and feel miserable walking in town, passing those libraries, not connecting with them. So everywhere, okay, there are hardworking people, decent people, then the troubling one, the disturbing one. So first we look at our experience and develop mudita, and then we try to connect with other people's hard work, their success, their positive qualities, and develop mudita.